king, and the king is residing underneath this beautiful purple cloth. This is the third stage with King Athelstan at York Minster. The last and final stage is when he will be hoisted onto the south choir roof. And I will introduce Richard Bossons, who is the master mason, who is completely responsible for carving this incredible work of art. And thank you. King Athelstan the Glorious. And I mentioned that the resonance that he has with York and York Minster is absolutely incredible. If it wasn't for his annexation of York in 927, we wouldn't have the English nation. It's as simple as that. If it wasn't for his foresight, understanding that the master masons, stonemasons of the day, and I take Richard out of this, were of loose morals and preferred to have wine and drink than actually carving, or as the ancient charges say, did not pay for their meat and drink where they did come to board. He set down the ancient charges here in York in the year 926, and they became the cornerstone and foundation stone of the speculative Freemasons in the 17th and 18th century, which led to the formation of United Grand Lodge of England and the sweeping of speculative Mason or craft masonry, symbolic masonry throughout the world. And it is only apt that we celebrate King Athelstan the Glorious by hoisting him in a position over the city he took in 927. I'm sure you all have, with bated breath, wanting to see what King Athelstan the Glorious looks like from the mind and artistry of Richard Bossons. So I'm going to ask Richard to assist me to unveil the king. Okay.
There we go.
I mentioned the artistry of stonemasons, but they're very practical individuals also. So Richard has kept that wonderful cloth in position with a heavy maul. He doesn't understand how apt that is for Freemasonry. King Athelstan the Glorious, and I'm now going to introduce again Richard Bossons, a master mason who has produced this wonderful work of art. And Richard, if you wouldn't mind giving a few words.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'd just like to say a quick thank you to all of you as well. I mean, as a maker, even working on such an extravagant building as the Minster, you don't very often get the chance to design, carve and fix a figurative-based piece of work like this. So to be given the opportunity as a craftsman is a fantastic thing. So I'd like to extend my thanks to all of you for the fundraising that's got us to this point today. So in terms of the design, you have to imagine the stone will be tipped horizontally when it's actually fixed on the building, and it will be on one of four corners on a pinnacle on the south choir aisle. And we're using Athelstan as a springboard to tell a bit of a Saxon narrative around the four carvings. So we will have Ethelflaed on one of the other corners, where Athelstan was at her court and he learned his statecraft and also his warcraft, arguably, because she was campaigning against the Vikings in York before Athelstan came to the throne. We will have a master mason on one of the other corners, which ties in with him holding the ancient charges in this hand here. So we have a master mason represented as well, so the tie-in with everything that Paul was saying earlier. We'll have Edmund the Martyr on the other corner, as Athelstan founded his shrine at Bury St Edmunds, and obviously later became our patron saint of England. So we'll have a little narrative to link the four carvings together there. In terms of the details, we've got the Shrine of Beverley, or Beverley Minster as it may have looked in Saxon times. This is where Athelstan stopped and prayed on his way up to campaign against the Scots. And he said that stopping at that shrine there, at the Shrine of St John, was instrumental in his victory over the Scots. So, and again, he was a very great benefactor of the churches and a donor to the churches. Another tie-in with Beverley is the crown, one of those few representations sculpturally that Paul mentioned is in Beverley Minster. There's a corbel there where Athelstan is depicted with St John, and that crown is taken from that corbel using the clover and the acorns. The only other representation we might have of a crown is on the manuscript. It's very ambiguous, but from that manuscript I've also picked up that little cuff detail as well. That's actually shown on that contemporary manuscript. So I've tried to tie in those local references, and the clasp on the cloak, that's taken from that carving in Ripon Cathedral as well. So it's trying to get a nod into a new design to reference what's gone before as well in the local area. As you can see, the head's very exaggerated, the hands are very exaggerated. Got to do something anatomically believable, but also that will work architecturally and be readable from a distance when it's up on the building. So the proportions of the head are always massively exaggerated, so you see that carving block from a distance as it projects on the corners of the building. So yeah, that's
Thank you very much,
where we are.
Richard. Yeah. And obviously, being a master mason, he has left his mark. All master masons have to mark their work to receive their wages, as you know. And he has a very impressive mark. And on the back here, you will also see something else with regards to King Athelstan. And remember, when this is hoisted into position on York Minster, this will never be seen until it's removed 300 years' time. Something like that. It will never be seen.